first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to forgive my brother and for making my mom sad at Christmas? I'll try to keep this brief. My 37 female, brother 35 male, struggles with addiction and has for years. My parents have always protected him from the consequences of his actions. This year on Father's Day, after being told separately by both my parents they are divorced, how well he'd been doing, they suggested I include him in my plans. I invited him into my home, backyard, for a barbecue with my dad, husband, 3-year-old, and my in-laws. When he arrived, he was clearly messed up. My dad apologized to me and said if he'd known my brother had relapsed, he wouldn't have asked me to invite him. Long story short, the day ended when my brother went into the bathroom and proceeded to smoke a substance. The bathroom where my 3-year-old brushes her teeth. When he came out, he was just a complete mess. I don't like talking about it much. It disturbed me that badly. I told him he had to leave and that I would drive him home. He denied he was high, I'm just tired, and proceeded to insult me the whole way home. After this, I told my parents I was done. What if he had OD'd? What if he had left some on the counter and my daughter put it in her mouth? I thought that was a pretty reasonable place to draw a line. At the time, my parents agreed. They apologized for having suggested inviting him and said I was completely justified in no longer wanting contact with him. Time passes. To date, I haven't received even an acknowledgement from him that what happened, let alone an apology. But the holidays start to approach. My parents, my mom specifically, but my dad too, are now expecting me to basically just forget everything that happened and what they both said, apparently, and just pretend things are fine. When I expressed that he hadn't apologized to me, I was told that I shouldn't expect an apology, that that's just the way he is, that I should get over it, that we're family, and that he hasn't used since June, and that I'm putting my mom in a difficult position and forcing her to choose between her kids. To me, I'm not doing that at all. I'm not preventing her from spending time with him. I just don't want to myself. She said that if I'm cutting him out, then I'm effectively cutting her out too. She can't leave him alone on Christmas morning, and basically said that if the two of them are sad and alone at Christmas, it's my fault. She also accused me of preferring to spend time with my in-laws. While I didn't agree, I did say it was easier, since there are no junkies in that family and no awkward divorces. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for saying that? And for not wanting to play happy families with my brother the 3 to 4 times a year that my mom expects? Edit, just to address the divorce comment I made. There were infidelity issues in their marriage, which has made for lingering tensions and awkwardness, and necessitates separate holidays, etc. I made a point that my parents didn't play happy families with each other, so why am I expected to do it? And when she accused me of preferring my in-laws, her actual words were something like, "Since you think they're so perfect." I was trying to say that while I don't prefer them, it's a much less stressful situation since I don't have to deal with the things mentioned above. Now for the top comments. First, not the a-hole. Second, I have to tell you that my heart bleeds for you. People who have not dealt with this level of parental denial and dysfunction can never understand the immense pain that comes from trying to cope with it. The only thing that will ever make this better for you is to take an ironclad stance and endure the pain and guilt that come your way. Chances are, you've already tried half measures and compromises a million times. You may even have already realized that every time you establish a boundary that is a sort of a half step, you wind up enduring guilt and then having the boundary violated anyway. I hope that you have a good Christmas, and I hope that your parents live long enough to accept your decision. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are justified. Your mom is being unreasonable. Making your mom sad is what your brother did by smoking substance in your bathroom. Stand firm. Not the a-hole. If your brother had made any progress since June, he'd realize exactly why you're not inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt and tell your mom to quit guilt-tripping you. Your parents are being enablers, and they need to sit with the consequences of that. If they'd rather blame you for forcing them to acknowledge that one big happy family celebration simply isn't an option here, that's entirely on them. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be the bigger person and make peace with a estranged sibling? This is a heavy, multi-layered issue, but I will try to be as brief as possible. I, female 26, am one of 5 siblings. With one sister, female 29, we will call Leia. Leia has been problematic for the majority of our lives. She has extreme substance abuse issues and has put our family through hell mentally, physically, financially, and emotionally. Leia is also diagnosed with bipolar disorder and is a pathological liar. It has been a lot to deal with. Every year during the holidays, it comes to a head. She shows up clearly out of her mind, causes a scene and ruins the holidays for the entire family. My parents are classic enablers, and because she's so aggressive when confronted, they just let it go on. Well, last holiday season, the cycle started over, and instead of dealing with it, my family decided it's time to get her help again, and maybe go back to rehab. We agreed to try contacting her boyfriend's family for help, as they live together and are using together. Long story short, it did not go over well, and I ended up getting 100% of the heat as the rest of my family was too terrified of her. Since then, she has said the most horrible things imaginable to me, tried to turn everyone who would listen against me, contacted my ex from long ago. The list goes on. I have stayed silent and done nothing. It goes without saying, we haven't spoken in over a year. Now the holidays are coming again, and my parents think I should be the bigger person and reach out to try and make it right, so we can try to have a normal Christmas. However, my point of view is that I have been completely thrown under the bus, attacked and truly hurt by all of this. It took me almost a year to feel okay again, so I really don't want anything to do with Leia anymore, as I find her to be a vicious, bad person. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to be the bigger person for the sake of the family? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Be the saner person and skip that whole scene. That's how you have a normal Christmas. What they mean by being the bigger person is, you are reasonable and we are afraid of her. So we will lean on you because there is no way she will ever bend. Not the a-hole. Thanks so much for this perspective. This whole situation has had me actually questioning my sanity and wondering if I really messed up by trying to get her help. Not the a-hole. It is your choice and yours alone. Regardless of her mental illness and the fact she is your sister, you have the right to keep your boundaries where you feel they should be. Communication is key here with your family on your reasons for not needing to reach out to your sister. It sounds like a constant enabling of her behaviors, which is why she gets away with it, and it continues year after year. Why do we always have to tiptoe around and make sacrifices to the people who make our lives miserable? I finally stood up to the two persons, one was my sister in my life, who did exactly the same as your sister, and I no longer cater to them. I feel stronger as a person and my esteem has lifted greatly, and they no longer come at me with their BS. Be strong and don't let anything your sister says affect you. You know where you stand in life compared with her, and it's your time to shine on the rain-soaked ground. Wow, thank you so much for this input. This whole experience has been really difficult for me. With my sister actively saying she hopes I pass away, she wouldn't even show to my funeral. I'm a disgusting person, etc. It's been so hard because I never wanted to be estranged. I just wanted to get her help, but she's so aggressive and vicious. I didn't expect it to go this way. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking out my brother-in-law because he ate me out of house and home? My husband and I bought a cabin in the woods and have been living there the last 2 months to fix it up. While we were gone, my brother-in-law and his girlfriend have been living at our house in the city because they recently moved to the area and wanted time to find a house. In exchange for a rent-free place to stay, all I asked of them was to keep the house in order and to stay out of the cellar, which is full of preserved food, and a chest freezer stocked with prepared homemade food. When we got back this afternoon, I went down there to grab something to defrost for dinner. But there was almost nothing because they cleaned out 75% of the freezer and most of the preserved food. I don't think they went grocery shopping a single time in 2 months. Everything is open here, and neither of them have any conditions that would preclude them from going out in public. I can't even put a number on how long I spent growing, fermenting, preserving, and cooking this food. I absolutely lost it on them and kicked both out. My husband is smart and told his brother that what I say goes. But now my mother-in-law is on the case, telling me I overreacted and I'm an a-hole because brother-in-law and girlfriend don't know how to cook. Cut them a break. I'm not down with this attitude. Personally, I don't think I'm an a-hole in this situation. I want nothing to do with either of them until they apologize and pay for all of the food they ate. So, am I the a-hole? Brother-in-law and girlfriend don't know how to cook. Cut them a break. Do they know how to order takeout? Know that the grocery store also sells fermented and prepared frozen food. They got a place to stay rent-free while they looked for their own place, so they certainly had the money to buy their own food. You specifically asked them to stay out of your stash, and they cleaned you out anyway. Not the a-hole, and your mother-in-law can kick rocks. Edited to add, I hope you ban them from using the cabin until and unless they A. Pay you back, and B. Apologize. Couple of thieves is what they are. Not the a-hole. You had one rule for them staying in your home rent-free, and they broke it. You're not being unreasonable, and your reaction wasn't unfounded. I'm glad your husband backed you up. I imagine that the husband was smart enough not to get in the middle of this, because it would have not ended well for him. Not the a-hole, but your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law definitely are. You had one rule for crying out loud, and not even a crazy one. Your husband sounds awesome. I would work towards distancing yourself from the whole side of the family. They sound like a bunch of whiny users. If they ever ask you for a favor again, be sure to remind them exactly why they're not getting it. After all these threads with in-laws here, it's nice to see the husband standing with his wife and not his mama. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother he wasn't invited to support my friend because he's a creep? Since we were kids, my younger brother Kenny, 22, was super obnoxious and a bully. Think as my parents spoiled him too much, so he would get mean when other kids didn't want to do exactly what he wanted. So, he had zero friends our entire childhood. When we were in high school, he was the odd guy nobody wanted to talk to because the way he'd behave and pull pranks. My parents forced me to bring him whenever I, 23 male, was going with my friends. Literally forced me. Like I would get grounded if I didn't. Everyone in my group hated him. Especially my friend Sandra. Since 10th grade, Kenny had a crush on her. He'd buy her gifts or wait outside every one of her classes to talk to her. Every Valentine's Day, he'd send her those grams that they do at school and leave her notes about how they're going to spend their lives together. I told Kenny a million times to leave her alone and got my parents involved, but they never did anything. Sandra came out as gay in our senior year, and turned out she was secretly going out with another girl in our class. Kenny was pissed and kept asking her for a chance so maybe he could turn her back. By then I kept Kenny away from her by lying to my parents about seeing my friends. Whenever I was forced to bring Kenny, we would tell her so she won't show up because she'd say he scares her, which I felt really bad for. They haven't seen each other in years, but I'm still really close with her and everyone in our group. Sandra recently found out she has breast cancer and told us during a Zoom call. We all felt bad we couldn't be there for her because of COVID, so we all decided we were gonna drive by her apartment with "We love you" signs to show support. We let her wife know when we were going. We all parked outside her house, all inside our own cars of course, with our signs. She saw us from the window and took pictures. She posted on Instagram and said she's grateful. I didn't know that Kenny followed her, and he was really pissed I didn't tell him so he could have gone to show his support too. I told him no way, and he's the last person she'd want to see right now. He asked me why, and I told him because you were a freaking creep. I reminded him everything he did and how much he made her uncomfortable, so of course she wouldn't want to see him, or him to know where she lives. He called me a piece of crap and hung up on me. My parents are saying he's upset, and I need to apologize for hurting his feelings. My mom says I didn't have to say why I wasn't invited, and could have said I forgot to tell him we were doing that, instead of making him feel bad over a crush. This shouldn't even be a surprise to him because I always told him how creepy his behavior with her was since we were in high school. But I guess now it's a bad thing that I told him. They want me to apologize, but I don't think I should, and it's turning into a whole thing. Just to be clear here for my own peace of mind, was I the a-hole for telling him this? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, you were honest, and he has no excuse to continue this behavior. Your parents are cuddling him. You have nothing to apologize for. Exactly. I will not apologize to my brother for telling the truth when he asked why he wasn't informed about Sandra. His lack of apology and his profane reaction simply proves I made a right choice. Dude, he's 22, not the a-hole. You shouldn't have to lie to him to spare his feelings. You should be able to say he was a creep, because he should be growing up, maturing and realizing that he used to be a creeper. All of those shoulds should be italicized, but I can't figure it out. And why the hell are your parents getting involved? You're both grown adults and you had a conversation. He asked, you answered. Your parents don't need to express an opinion here. Just proves the role they played by not calling him out on that crap years ago. He lives with them, so I'm pretty sure that's why. But yeah, I don't get how it's their business. We're not little kids anymore. Not at a-hole. Sad that your parents would tolerate their son actually harassing someone. I'd be freaking livid. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe.